Hey there, welcome to Have You Asked Your Dad, the podcast where we ask dads questions that they often don't get asked. My name's Terrence Mentor, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Sean Lewitz. In this episode, we ask the question, when was the last time you made a new friend? We of course go on to answer that question, but we would love for you to answer it as well, even if you're not a dad. So send that answer through to hyaydpod@gmail.com. That's hyaydpod@gmail.com. Or find us on Instagram at Have You Asked Your Dad? And we would love to hear your answer to the question, when was the last time you made a new friend? Right now, though, it's time for Sean and I to try answer that question. Hey, Sean.
Hey, Terrence, how are you?
Hey, good. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Eventually, we will see each other face to face. It's going to happen, but not today.
Not today. But you do have a really big smile on your face today, Terrence. That's a nice smile.
You know, it's an okay day. It's a Friday.
It's a Friday. We know what my favorite description of a smile, and I will let you use this if you like. But my favorite description of a smile says he's got a smile so big that if he didn't have ears, it would go right around his face.
Yeah. People have said that about me, and you know what it is? You know, like you get a resting B-word face.
Yes.
I have the opposite of that. So people think that I'm like happy and like skipping along the street being just joyful, but actually that's just like my face. So I could be like really miserable and you wouldn't know it because I have like this general like upturn of my mouth. Giving too many secrets away. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Something I've been thinking about.
Okay.
When was the last time you made a new friend?
Do you count?
No.
Oh.
No.
No.
If it is me, then that's worrying because we became friends years ago.
We did. I remember where the conversation. Anyway, let me think here now, Terrence. I want to say that a new friend. I can tell you that a few weeks ago we went out for dinner, and I was the plus one. I didn't know anybody there, and I expected for it to be a very awkward evening because I don't do small talk very easily. It's really hard. And through that, I would say a long time before that, I made a new friend. No, it would have really been nice for me to say to you that evening I came away with a brand new friend and we swapped numbers, but we didn't. I
thought that's where it was going to go. I was like, oh my word, cool. Tell me how you managed this.
No, not at all. I wish I had skills like that. No, I work in media and therefore I interact with a lot of people and I always have. And I don't have a smile that necessarily wraps around my face. I think I have more of the resting bee face than I have one of yours. But people do assume that I have a lot of friends, but I don't. I don't have a lot of friends. And I think the last time I made a new friend would be years ago, Terrence, honestly.
See, I don't think that's a lack in your personality, because I think you are a very approachable person.
Affable. I've been described as being affable more than once.
Affable is definitely the right way to describe you, at the very least. I don't think that's your problem. I think your problem is that you're a dad. I think that is the issue.
Oh, drat. Well, that's not going to end anytime soon, so now what? Oh, no.
Yeah, because I realized I don't think that I've made a new friend since I've become a dad. Like, similar situation to you, where like I'm a plus one. I'm always like, oh, this is Liam's friend's dad.
Right.
You know, at a school social that we have to, like, yeah, he's a cool guy, we chat, but again, not exchanging numbers.
Yes.
Nothing more than that. There's my wife's friend's partner.
Yes.
That I have to be friendly to because
otherwise
not. But like, not someone who I would generally. In none of the situations has there been a case where I'm like, oh, this person's so cool. Let's just change numbers. Let's go and come around to my place and watch the game together. And I can't perceive that ever happening.
But do you think that's really because you're a dad or because we're guys and guys don't do stuff like that?
Maybe. I think it might be a combination because look, I made friends before I became a dad.
This is true.
I made so
that's true.
I currently still have a lot of those friends. so it's not like it was impossible to make friends. Maybe maybe as we get older, it becomes harder, but also maybe our lives now, in the sense that we both you and I kind of work remotely.
Mm.
The last friend I made were office friends.
Yep. Likewise. Mm.
So people who you spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week minimum, with them, and they're going through the same stuff you're going through. We used to part of my work when I was in the radio was to do a lot of road trips to different parts of the Western Cape. So you're in a car next to a person for 6 hours,
Yeah.
and you're spending 3 days with them traveling around the province. You're either going to hate that person or you're going to become lifelong friends with
Yes.
that person.
And you make it work. Yeah.
So those opportunities to become close to someone, I don't really have anymore.
Mm.
And I'm not sure if I don't have it because I just don't have time or space to have those opportunities. But I also think that I might even avoid those opportunities because it feels tiring.
Well, out of interest's sake, I don't know if you've come across this. I was doing a little bit of reading. There is something called the male deficit model, which is not an underwear model type person that is,
Deficient
in things.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, the male deficit model speaks about friendships between men functioning and faltering within strict pragmatic categories. Can you tell that I read that? They speak
Wow.
about friends that are convenience friends, those that exchange helpful favors but don't really interact much outside of that. Friends that are mentor friends and who connect primarily through one's tutelage of the other, or activity friends. So we both play hockey or swim or enjoy fishing, whatever the case. So you go out and do the activity. You might be there in silence doing the activity, but your bond is around that activity. And the theory holds that men tend to drift apart whenever the shared convenience, mentorship, or activity ends. And I can say, for one, that a lot of the people that I had made friends with through my radio career, we've drifted because either we've drifted to different stations or onto different elements of work. You still reach out to them from time to time, but you're not like we don't hang out. And similarly with swimming, I was big into swimming for years. I had loads of swimming friends, but none of us swim anymore, so we don't see one another. So I can see that being a possible reason for not having many friends in our friendship circles or in our circles, especially as being, as you say, remote workers. We're not involved in many other activities at this point in time.
Yeah, you're not like, you're not doing the Friday afternoon drinks with your colleagues.
Yeah.
And I must say, I think I've been quite deliberate with some friendships where I've left the company 4 years ago now, and I'm still fairly good friends with some people. Some people I tend to not see as often.
Yep.
But we still try to keep that connection. But it takes work and effort, and especially since most of my friends that I've been trying to be deliberate with, they don't have kids.
Oh.
And they're not married.
Oh.
So their lives are completely different to mine as well. So it'll be a case of getting a message from them on like a Thursday at 7 saying, "Hey, we're going out for drinks at 8. You want to meet us there?" And I'm like, "Dude, no."
Yeah.
I can't. I need a 2-week
Yeah.
lead time to arrange a babysitter, or to inform my wife, and to arrange space, and to make sure that everything's okay. I can't just drop everything, and I can't just lock up my apartment and walk down the street to the local pub or bar like you can, because I don't live in those areas, firstly, and secondly, I have so many other things to sort out. So they I'm definitely not in the inner core of those friendship groups, just because I'm not able to be there as much as the next person.
Circumstances, like lifestyle circumstances, have definitely hindered those types of friendships and relationships. I can also recall after radio shows, we would do afternoon drive show. It would get to 6, 7 o'clock when the show wraps. And right there and then you're like, the sunset over the city is looking so beautiful. Let's just pop next door, have a drink. And then you realize who you are and the life that you actually have when you're not on the radio, and you go, "Thanks, guys, but I have to go." And that That hurt. That hurt me
Mm,
for a while. That's difficult to deal with. You constantly feel like you're the one you're the stick in the mud, right? Like back to school days, when you're the stick in the mud and don't want to do
yeah.
stuff with other people. But that does make it difficult to make new friends, because then who do you invite over to your home in the space that you are comfortable with? Or at least maintain friendships if there are people in your circle that don't have kids and are on a completely different lifestyle. Can we talk about planes? I don't know,
Yeah,
like a
yeah, just
different
different.
level of
Yeah,
where they interact.
yeah. I think for me, again, I'm lucky. Like some of my friends who don't have kids really love my kids, so
That's
like
cool.
they're happy to come and hang out at my place and watch a rugby game or a football game with me and the boys. And if we're having a braai and my kids are running around, they'll go and like play soccer with them and kick the ball around. And they're very keen to be like uncles. They like they don't want to be dads themselves, but they like the idea of being involved with my kids
Yeah.
in a healthy way. I have other friends who have shown no interest in my boys whatsoever, and I get that. Like, if you're a single guy or like you're an unchilded person who doesn't really want to have kids yourself, there might be a reason why. Like, you might not really like kids that much. So,
Yeah.
so I would never want to like force that relationship between them and my children. But it does mean that those people are. I can't just invite them round because we would be constant. I would constantly be going, "Oh, sorry about my boys," or like the conversation's interrupted. So I have to find separate times to do that. I mean, look, as my boys are getting older, I am finding more opportunity and more space to go and spend time with my old friends, but I still don't have any capacity to make new friends. I don't even know how to do, like, I mean, that was your question earlier. Like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to. I play hockey every couple of weeks. There's a couple of guys on the team I think are really cool. We get along. We have a good laugh. But I've never exchanged phone numbers with them. I've never been like, "Hey, let's do, let's do something." It almost feels like I don't have the mental energy to do the initial part of a friendship.
Right.
Like, I can't build momentum right now. I can only just coast on momentum that has been built on like I often think about what my life would be like if I was single. If I suddenly became single, would I be able to start dating? And like, I can't comprehend at my age with children starting to date, starting a new relationship. That feels crazy to me.
It's like one of my nightmares to have to redo it all. I,
Yeah, like 20% of why I'm still married is because of that. Like, I just don't want to bother. Don't tell my wife. But
Don't worry.
This one got like on a
podcast. No, nobody can.
We would never do that.
Exactly.
But I think the same applies to friendships. Like, I don't know how to. If I did meet a new person who I thought was really cool, I don't know how to establish a friendship with them in a way that doesn't feel like super thirsty.
Yes,
And-
stalkerish. Yeah, because I probably wouldn't necessarily think to go for the WhatsApp number or a number immediately, right? I'd probably leave that because that feels too imposing. Then I would probably start looking for the person on social media, thinking, well, maybe I can make a connection there. And as you quite
Yes.
rightly say, if I hadn't to suddenly send a message via DM, that does feel a little like, why are you sending me a direct message on social media? Then I'd probably have to come up with I don't have your number, but I thought I'd ask you this question. I'm like, no. And so I would just never do it. I just never do it.
Like you would need an excuse for something, right?
Yes.
Like, it would have to be like, I know that you recently put up gutters
Yeah.
in your house. What gutters did you use? Oh, are you putting up gutters? Well, I'm sure one day I'll be putting up gutters.
Gutters, yeah.
And I just
Thought I
would like to
find out the contact that you have now before I need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit of a nightmare, and I don't know how people do it. I would love to find out if from our listeners, like, when was the last time you made a friend? Not even as a dad, just as anyone who's listening.
Yeah.
When was the last time you made a friend?
Yeah.
And how did you do that? I don't understand.
What I will say I find exceptionally interesting is that here we are talking as dads and how we struggle to make new friends. But I feel like my wife can enter a doctor's room or a business meeting, and somehow she gravitates to another woman that is a mother, and immediately they're exchanging numbers and sharing pediatrician details, like they've been friends, chummies
Yeah.
for ages.
Yeah.
How does she do that? Why does she do that?
It's maybe, I don't know. It's We were kind of talking off mic earlier about seeing men watching Ted Lasso and seeing men being vulnerable and being able to like talk about how they're feeling.
Love that
And
show.
I wonder if that isn't the thing. Like, not so much that I'm sure Rue doesn't go and meet this new person and go, "Hi, I'm Rue. Let me tell you all my problems." Like, not that.
Well, not that I know of, but now that you say it,
Maybe, but maybe it's that willingness to be vulnerable and to like open yourself up to another person at the risk of, like we were saying, we don't want to come across as thirsty.
yeah,
Right. We don't want to come across as like being stalkerish.
Yeah.
But maybe you have to be willing to go, this might come across as stalkerish, but I thought we had such a cool conversation earlier. Do you want to grab a drink sometime?
Yeah.
Or like, do you want to come around or whatever? Do you want to meet up? Maybe people respond to that. Okay, this is ultimately my problem.
all right.
As I'm saying that out loud,
Mm-hmm.
right? If someone did that to me, if I went to, let's say, a friend's house for a big party or a big birthday,
Right, and you met
birthday
me for the
party,
first
whatever,
time.
and I meet you. Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Yeah.
And we've both been in radio, great
Yeah,
conversation,
cool.
and
Yeah.
we catch up. Clearly, like have a cool vibe together, and like later on, a few days later, whenever, we've only met once. We've only had that one interaction.
Yes.
That interaction would have to have been super amazing for me not to feel weirded out.
Right.
Like if you messaged me and said, "Hey, I thought," like literally what I just said. If you messaged me and said, "Hey, I thought it was such a cool conversation. We should meet up for a drink. Like, when are you free?" I'd be like, "Ugh, I don't know about that."
I don't think I drink. I don't drink. I'm
I
not
don't drink.
thirsty, and it's fine.
I have a disease where I can't. I literally I can't drink any liquid
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
I'm moving to a different country next week. I don't know. So as much
Yeah.
as I say we should be vulnerable, I think
Yeah.
I would not be comfortable with a person and maybe that's the problem.
I agree with you. I think you're quite right. Hearing you say it and act out that entire scenario, I think I would have done exactly the same thing.
Yes.
I'd have been like, "That's nice," and my wife would probably, if I'd read the message out loud, my wife would probably go, "That's so cool. You should go," and I'd be like, "Yeah, should I?"
Yes, exactly.
Really?
And she'd literally be like, "You were complaining last week that you never make
Don't
friends.
have
Here's an
friends, yeah.
opportunity."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Yeah, but is this the? I don't know." Like, so I think we're the problem.
It sounds like it. It's sounding more and more like it. Hey, just the other day, we took Zoe down to the hospital. She was having stitches put in her chin, and I'm pushing the wheelchair around. My wife's there as well, but the nurse immediately gravitates towards my wife, speaking about she has this child with special needs as well. And it's like, I'm right here. Why couldn't you ask me the questions that you're asking her? Yeah, it's just incredible how quickly they bond over stuff. But
Yeah.
I think we've just answered our own questions. We don't wanna.
We don't want. We actually
We don't wanna. Oh no.
That's, oh no, oh my gosh. Just suddenly realizing, literally in this conversation, because I thought about this before we started talking,
Yeah.
but literally realizing in this conversation that I am the problem. That
Wow.
if I really wanted to make more friends, I
And-
could.
And you're quite right. You said it a bit earlier. It does require work and effort and putting in the time. And maybe if we did go back to basics and really try and figure out how we make friends in the first place and do it more often, it wouldn't feel like so much work. But where we are right now, resource-wise, we're depleted. Capacity-wise, we're up to our eyeballs, even higher. Feel like I just don't have space. Whereas I watch my wife make a new friend from one week to the next. How do you take on more? How do you do
How
it?
does she have that capacity? I see the same with my wife. I see her making new friends, and they're all needy, and they all, yes, they're very. There's a back and forth, but there's always a time when she has to give more than she gets, and I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want that.
It's interesting. You used the word needy there, and I know you mean it in sense of like they need interaction. And I think that's the thing I'm scared of. I'm scared of making a friend and he needs me to go and do something or he needs me to be there. And I'm like, what if I don't want to when you need me? And that sounds awful saying it out loud. I can't believe I just said that. But
No, but I don't think that's awful, right? I think there is a level of we don't want to get involved with something that we can't do properly. Like, and maybe that's the other thing is that both you and I are in committed relationships and we're committed dads. So our most important relationships, we're like 110% in. Whatever's needed, we give all of it to those relationships.
Yes.
And maybe we can't do the switch where it's like, this relationship gets 20% commitment. Like we're not able to do that kind of thing where we're either all or nothing. And we're looking at these other relationships and going, I cannot give all to this friendship. So maybe I'm trying to make us seem more heroic than we
Yeah, we're going to have to work hard at lifting our own egos again. I tell you what, maybe we should set ourselves a challenge. Are you ready for this?
Oh, no. Okay, hit me.
We should record another podcast in a week's time. There we go.
Yes, we can do that. Okay. That's... I can commit to you.
Woohoo!
Definitely.
Okay.
Good. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Have You Asked Your Dad? As we were saying at the beginning, we would love to hear your answer to the question, when was the last time you made a new friend? And how do you maintain friendships as a parent? Please send that through to hyaydpod@gmail.com or catch us on Instagram. Search for @HaveYouAskedYourDad. We will be back next week with another good question that dads should be asked. Cheers for now.